So hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for joining us today for Expect More with High Security Gate Operators, Crash Gates, and Barrier Arms. Today we have with us Richard Wolcher and Jeremy Brummels. Richard Wolcher has served as HySecurity's VP of Marketing for 15 years. During his tenure, HySecurity has grown tenfold and is now the second largest gate operator manufacturer in the U.S. He has a key interest in the fast-moving perimeter security sector with an emphasis on system integration and new product development. He's actively involved in security associations ASIS and SIA, their respective security trade shows. His outreach recently netted HydraWedge SM50, two 2016 top honored new product awards from ISC West and Government Security News. Joining Richard is Jeremy Brummels, National Development Manager for HySecurity. After college, Jeremy got involved in low-voltage electronics in several different forms. He's been in the gate operator industry for better than a decade with HySecurity for the last 6 years of that. Mr. Brummels started in the industry as a service tech and has worked his way to management position within the company. Jeremy went to another company where he did product management, design, sales, and then as a distributor, doing more of the same until answering a call from HySecurity. Mr. Brummels has a certification in gate system design. His current role is supporting our efforts in access and revenue control through the integrator and OEM channels. HySecurity operators secure the world's critical infrastructure and key assets where ultimate reliability is vital. In this webinar, you'll discover how HySecurity operators provide unparalleled quality and total lifetime value. You will also see the level of support you can expect from HySecurity, including complete system design with specification support. My name is Julie Rolls. I'm the training specialist with PSA Security Network, and I will be moderating this call today. I have just a few quick housekeeping items before I hand it over to Richard and Jeremy. First, if you've not already done so, please mute yourself. If you have any questions throughout the course of this presentation, please type them into the chat panel, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end of this presentation. We will also monitor for chat if you happen to run into any difficulties, and we'll do our best to get you back up and running should you have any problems. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Richard and Jeremy.
All right. Thank you very much, Julie. First slide is really, we're very excited about what you're seeing on this first slide. We, for the first time, now have a conduit to an organization that represents a large share or a large group of security integrators. Security integrators are a significant part of our go-to-market strategy. In any case, suffice it to say that we're very excited about this, and we're going to do our best to ensure that you get excellent customer service and certainly excellent products from HySecurity in the future. So a little bit about HySecurity first. You can expect more from HySecurity than you're going to expect from a typical security manufacturing company. If you take a look at the products on the screen, they look different than any of our competitors' products, and they look different for good reasons that we'll go into here in a little while. But the things that we concentrate on are product performance, product reliability, system design support before, during, and after the install, product ultra-low maintenance, and longevity. I could say that a couple more times. That is a huge brand attribute in the market for us. And skilled, professional, technical system support. Those aren't just words for us. Those are what you can expect from HySecurity. And if you do just a little bit of checking around, some of you may already be HySecurity customers, you'll find that that is well represented in the field. So HySecurity dates back all the way to the 60s. We engineered the first hydraulic gate operator way back then, and we did that because at the time you had a field of gate operator companies, including Stanley. The gate operator business was in its infancy, and bottom line, it was really developed for the residential and maybe commercial industry, where high security, HIGH security, wasn't the important factor. So we thought our owner at that time, way back when, came in with his first hydraulic gate operator, and it's important to say that hydraulics, where they're used effectively, whether it be on an airplane or in a tractor trailer system or in an industrial application, Hydraulics are typically chosen for two reasons. Number one, they're very low maintenance, and they produce very powerful, they actuate very powerfully. So our gate operator came into a market that was primarily electromechanical, and the hydraulics were different. That product you see on the screen up there, the slide driver, is the machine that we're most known for. It's one of the products that you see on the Attica State Prison there on the left. We'll be talking a little bit more about that later on, but if you just take a look at it very, very quickly, that machine in one of its models will move a 20,000-pound gate. It's a little bit bigger than the one you see on the screen, but take a look. It's very simple. The hydraulic circuit is simple. The hydraulic, the motors, hydraulic motors, it's a very, very simple system, which means that it's going to be very reliable, and these are very reliable operators. So I just talked a lot about reliability, and I'm not going to jump all over that again, except to say that it isn't just achieved. Besides the way the products are designed, our whole company is invested in reliability processes. I'm just going to go very quickly through what some of those processes are to make it real for you. We specify components that last several times the warranty period. We monitor field failures and failure mode analysis on return parts, resulting in continuous design improvements. We standardize assembly procedures and tools. Critical assembly steps are calibrated and NIST traceable. Our suppliers are required to submit inspection reports, certification of conformance, and material certifications, and we engage in a company-wide corrective action system. Reliability and quality is our DNA, and if you do just a little bit of research in the market, you'll find out that that is what we're known for. We're also known for powerful programmable integrator controls. The SmartTouch controller that you see on the screen, if I can make this work, it simplifies significantly complex controls design. Integrators are known for producing incredibly complicated and sophisticated controls that oftentimes are huge and are very expensive and require an uncommon relationship or sometimes a difficult relationship between the end user, which may want changes to those controls. That linkage between the integrator and the end user is sometimes difficult as a consequence of that. The SmartTouch controller, you may still have to create PLCs in order to get some of the very complicated or very specific, site-specific things that you want done at the site. But the SmartTouch controller is going to make that a lot easier. You're going to be able to eliminate some of what otherwise would be done in PLCs because the SmartTouch controller is so powerful. It has 3 programmable relays. It's got 20 labeled accessory inputs with more than 75 programmable options, allowing you to tune your ACP operation to the exact site requirements. HySecurity's SmartTouch controller simplifies complex controls design. So everything from gate sequencing, alarm triggering, real-time event recording and reporting, and much more can be programmed using it. You may still require an external PLC for uncommon site-specific requirements, but it'll require a fraction of the time to design, build, and maintain. The STC, as we call it, supports 4 smart plug-in vehicle detectors, 3 programmable relays, 20 labeled accessory inputs, and I've already said all that, so I'm going to move on. So HySecurity industrial operators use the same SmartTouch controller with its 32-character programming and reporting interface. Your end-user clients will require significantly less product training, less spare parts inventory, and can often diagnose and repair many system usage issues without installer or integrator intervention. That means less end-user frustration, less ACP access control point downtime, and less security vulnerability. The HySecurity crash operators also use the same SmartTouch controller. Access control points are the perimeter security Achilles heel. They're meant for access, but they are the most likely place for unauthorized personnel or terrorist penetration. Hardening them is your first line of defense, but communicating threats before, during, or after they happen is critical to ensure threat-appropriate response. High-security gate operators and hardened crash systems sense and report gate security breach conditions and system operational issues, including vehicle loitering at the ACP, tailgating, gates being forced open, EFO triggered, and much more. What does that mean? Basically, it means that if you have connected the smart operator that is sensing these conditions to a command and control system, the command and control system is going to get intelligence that allows them to decide on an appropriate response. In some cases, the appropriate response is to get in touch with facilities to go out there and realign a photo eye. In other situations, the appropriate response is to send out the infantry with machine guns. So security is changing at the speed of light. You all know that. You rely on manufacturer support if only to qualify and maybe add to what you already know. As you know, the security system is the solution, not just the automated gate. Every automated gate is really a compilation of the gate itself, the gate operator, safety equipment, loops, vehicle detectors, edge and photo eye sensors, and access controls. But beyond that, the system has to meet peak site vehicle throughput demands, physical and credential security validation, multiple gate and anti-terrorist barrier sequencing, public road offsets, chicanes to reduce vehicle speed threat, site considerations including underground utilities, rising or falling roadways, curves, curbs, or other obstructions. So our guys and women are working in access control point design every day. Their job is not to design your system for you, which you wouldn't want anyway. Their job is to make sure that because they've got this functional, historical background, they're working with literally hundreds of systems, each of which poses a slightly different challenge and sometimes very unusual challenges. That body of information, they can help you to ensure that some simple mistake isn't made that significantly reduces the ability for the access control point to do what the end user wants. Their job is to make sure that the system that you've designed on paper is how it works when it gets to when it gets installed. So words are just words. HySecurity's industry-leading warranties ensure your end users that the products you specified will operate as claimed with minimal maintenance and long life. And when the system experiences a failure, which it will, HySecurity provides accessible and professional system tech support. All of our technicians are not telephone operators that were just hired last week. They spend time in the field. They know our products like the back of their hands. They know the accessories and system configuration. We have your back and your customer's back when a usage component or product issue arises. So some of you participate in a significant way in the installation of the sites that you're designing, and others of you rely on installers to get that work done. Your job is done when the design is produced. HySecurity will help you and or a general contractor, whomever it is that's going to be hiring the installer, to hire somebody who's got some experience. This is not a fall off the truck kind of activity. These people need to have, probably in many cases, experience with HySecurity operators and the other systems that are going to be installed. And we have literally hundreds of installers. This is not at all the complete list of installers that have installed HySecurity, but these are people that we call our A and B installers, and you can see they're all over the United States. So when you're looking for referrals, we can give you 2 or 3 referrals depending upon how your site relates to their expertise. So just a very quick product overview. We have an anti-terrorist crash product line. We have an industrial HySecurity, H-I-G-H, security product line. We have a commercial product line, and really from here on in, commercial and the other ones that I'm going to be talking about, I'm not going to go into very much detail for in this conversation. Some of you will use some of those operators, but we're going to be talking primarily about anti-terrorist crash and industrial high security. We have a residential product line. We manufacture 4 residential slide and swing gate operators and some linear actuators. And we have this last category that, again, I'm not going to go very much into, parking and traffic control. When I say parking, I'm talking about revenue control parking, and then traffic control is what it says. But you'll have corporate parking where there is no revenue changing hands, and you're going to get barrier arms are the most ubiquitous gate operators in the market. Let's start with our first product family, crash anti-terrorist products. Take a look at the operators on the screen. I mean, even looking at it superficially, you're going to see they don't really look like the operators that you may be used to. Take a look at the 2 barrier arms there. Those are both crash barrier arms, but they got 2 arms on them. I'll go into more detail about that later on. While the scale of this is not really clear, I don't think you're seeing my cursor on the screen. Oh, there it is. This Hydra Supply that goes along with the wedge up there is a fraction of the size of any of our competitors' Hydra Supplies. And that's because we know hydraulics. Hydraulics are, again, part of our DNA. We've been doing them for almost 40 years. And it's a compelling strength for both us and for you. Because, frankly, hydraulics in the crash business don't have a very good name because of misapplication of those. I would call it a skill set, but it's not a very strong skill set for many of our competitors. So that's the Hydra Supply. And it bears saying that Hydra Supply actually is sold on its own to retrofit Hydra Supplies that have failed in the field on literally hundreds of operators. I'm not saying that we've got that in hundreds of operators. It hasn't been in the market long enough for that. But it's a very powerful, very compact, very elegant solution for a product that, let's say, the Hydra Supply wasn't as well designed for as this one would be. And this will retrofit almost all of our competitors' wedges. Very quickly, let's take a look at the Strongarm M30. It's crash certified to an M30 P1 classification. That means it'll stop a 15,000-pound truck driving at 30 miles per hour with less than a meter penetration. So M30 is an important category for you to be aware of. You probably already are. This anti-terrorist vehicle barrier is installed at government offices, petrochemical plants, data centers, and many other high-security sites worldwide. It's an easy and inexpensive 2-day install. It's easy to program to site-specific requirements. It offers security both against truck and passenger vehicle penetration because of those 2 arms. A low-slung vehicle will get under the 34 inches, I think it is, 34, 35 inches of that upper arm. And so if a terrorist is interested in thwarting the system without that lower arm, they've got more opportunity to do it than they would with this operator. That arm does something else too, and that is that it protects against accidental hit. That isn't to say that it'll stop somebody from hitting the barrier arm, but it'll protect the person from going underneath the upper barrier arm if it was an accidental hit and shearing off the top of the passenger compartment of the car, and clearly that could result in a much more serious injury than if you stopped the car going maybe 20 or 30 miles an hour or less. Almost all, if not all, recorded vehicle hits for a barrier in the United States have been accidental or stupid acts on the part of the person who's done it. They've not been terrorist attacks. So having a safety consideration is very, very important. The vast majority of people who go through every access control point are going to be going through, and they want to go through safely, and you want to get them through safely. So we have a very, very high emphasis on not only security but safety. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this. The Strongarm M50 looks just like the Strongarm M30. It's got some buttresses on the bottom of it. It's got a little bit stronger. It's a little bit stronger system, so it'll stop a car driving at 50 miles an hour that same 15,000-pound vehicle driving at 50 miles an hour versus the M30, which will stop a car driving at 30 miles an hour. So HydraWedge SM50 is a shallow mount, and it's our newest vehicle barrier. When I say shallow mount, nobody has a shallower mount than this one. That is, the installation for this product is going to be much simpler, much less expensive, much less time-consuming than an installation of a typical competitive vehicle barrier. The foundation for this product is 12 inches, only 9 of which are actually foundation. The top 3 inches are roadway surface to be able to match the roadway all the way up to the HydraWedge. It's been crash tested 3 times for both domestic and international crash tests. One of the really important things about this is that when these products were first designed, and many of the products that are still in the market are really not designed for one vehicle, one cycle application. That is, if you've got a lot of vehicles going through a security access control point, you really want to maintain security in between every car if you possibly can. This machine is designed to operate for thousands of cycles a day and designed to survive reliably for those thousands of cycles a day for literally millions of cycles. And that's a significant change from many of the other products that it competes with. It's got a 1-second DFO, that's emergency fast operate. It'll give you 6 backup cycles on an accumulator, depending upon the model. We've also come out with a DC version of this operator, which will operate after power loss for hundreds of cycles, giving you much more security than you otherwise would. And I want to remind you again that the controls in hydraulics that I was talking to you about before are the same controls in hydraulics that you find on all of our industrial operators. When I say same, there are slight differences. There's an accumulator on that, for instance. We don't have an accumulator on our industrial operators. But bottom line is the system is almost exactly the same. And again, the Hydra Supply XL is something that you can retrofit on somebody else's machine. So instead of pulling the whole machine out of the dirt and replacing hydraulics controls and the wedge itself, you can oftentimes just replace the hydraulics and controls and upgrade your system at the same time, because these hydraulics and controls are both going to be more reliable and far more capable of being altered to meet the site-specific requirements. So with the exception, let's talk a little bit about our industrial operators now. I've already talked a little bit about this machine, which is our slide driver. They're all hydraulic, they're all configurable software-based controls. They'll move small to massive gates. They're very, very low maintenance, and they have a lifespan of decades, not years. You've got the slide driver, the Strongarm, the swing riser, the Hydra swing, and the vertical lift there. Slide driver, you can take a look at this in your own time to get a little bit more detail later on, but it's a pinch drive system. You're seeing the internals of the slide driver there on the screen. The drive rail is attached to the gate, and those 2 pinch wheels using hydraulics basically held onto that drive rail, push the gate forward or push the gate backwards. One of the beautiful things about that is if you take a look at that photograph is, where's the actuator? There is no actuator that you can see, which makes this a far more valuable security automated gate than a typical chain-driven system where all you have to do is to drop that chain and you've got access into the perimeter. Strongarm, as you can see there, lots of different Strongarm models that we sell. The one on the bottom is one that really stands out. It'll get you up to a 36-foot arm, so it'll cross multiple lanes of traffic. We've got a DOT version of it there, and then of course we've got one that's got about a 10-foot arm on it. Each of those are different models of machine, but they're operating using the same, again, controls and hydraulics. Swing riser bears a little bit more conversation, and that is that the swing gate is typically not a security gate because you've got leverage on the swing gate. If you go all the way to the outside of your gate and you push it, a couple of you push it in the case of a very, very powerful machine like this, you're probably going to be able to overcome the gate. In this case, you've got it's called swing riser because it actually lifts the gate panel 12 inches during the course of its arc. And then when it closes again, it drops that 12 inches again, and it drops a locking pin into the roadway that gives you a mechanical lock on a swing gate. That also has the other benefit of if you've got a swing gate and it's opening into a rising road, you've got to overcome the rise in that road. That 12 inches that the swing riser rises oftentimes is enough to get you to allow it to be used in that application. If you've got an asymmetrical access control point, and as you're going into the facility or past the access control point, you may have to overcome a curve. The gate actually goes over the top of a curve because the roadway is curving left or curving right. It's a unique machine. It's a very cool machine. It's used in security applications. It's also used in VIP installations where somebody wants to make a huge statement about the gate that they've got. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is our Hydra swing. Again, it's a hydraulic swing gate operator. The two of them on the screen there, the bottom one will move a 15,000-pound gate. The top one will move up to a 4,000-pound gate. We have one intermediate one that will move an 8,000-pound gate. But forget weight for a second. Weight is an easy way to kind of differentiate one swing gate operator from another swing gate operator. What you're really talking about here is wind load. Wind load is the enemy of swing gates, because a swing gate operates as a sail. If you've got any significant wind, peak winds, periods of time when that swing gate needs to move, you need a gate operator that will move that, and this is the gate operator of choice for those applications. HydroLift, very, very unique machine. Take a look at that image on the right-hand side, and you're going to see that it lifts a gate panel 16 feet in the air. One of them will lift that panel in 8 seconds, so you'll be able to open for traffic very, very quickly. It's oftentimes used where you don't have the space either left or right to move a slide gate, or you don't have the space, front or back to open up a swing gate. And oftentimes, because you can lift an 80-foot wide gate panel, that machine can, in a situation where I'm just getting a note here, where you've got shift changes and a lot of cars are going through in a very short period of time, this is a very good gate operator for that. I'm going to move on here because we're running out of time, and this is our commercial. I just want to say that we have a commercial line of operators that's a slide and a swing gate, both electromechanical, and we have our parking operators or our traffic control operators. And if you want more information about those, we can certainly get you that information. And one of the things that I'm missing here was a crash video, but in any case, these are two of the people who you'll find very valuable in your relationship with HySecurity. They're here to ensure that you get the kind of service, the kind of answers to your questions in a quick and effective way. Mandy Delbaum on the top left and David Hole on the right will be people who are here to make your relationship with HySecurity successful. Do you have any questions? First of all, thank you all for attending, but do you have any questions that we can answer?
I did have just a few questions that came in. First one, I know HySecurity is an industrial gate operator company, but what caused you to gravitate towards anti-terrorist vehicle barriers, and how successfully have you penetrated that market?
I'll try and answer these and be as brief as possible, but basically, customer demand drove a lot of that. Our reliable hydraulics over the years really, created some success for us and for our customers, and they've asked us to expand into that crash market where we've done fairly well because of that reliability.
Okay. Another question. You keep touting reliability as HySecurity's claim to fame. Are your products really more reliable? And what can you point out that gives evidence of more reliability, and what makes your products more reliable?
Well, again, we use the same hydraulics that they use in aircraft and everything else. If you're in an industry that really can't have failure, right? So when you take off from an airport like anywhere, or at the Pentagon, or any of those things where reliability is absolutely key, where it has to be a machine that works, those are the places where you'll find our machines.
Okay. And this last question, I'm pretty good at designing access control points. What added benefit do your specification engineers offer me?
I would say that the biggest benefit would probably be that they're there to help guarantee that you don't miss anything, that everything meets the latest standards, and that in a there were regulation changes the first of the year. There's some that change again the first of next year, and there was some a couple of years before that. Unless you're spending every day all the time in these things like these guys are, it's going to be hard to keep up with those updates. So count on them to be able to help you, navigate all of those regulations.
All right, thank you. And that looks like that is all of the questions that we have for today. So if you would like to review this presentation again, or would like to pass it along, we will have a recorded version of it posted very soon. You can find it by visiting psasecurity.com/education. Thank you very much to Richard Wolfsher and Jeremy Brummels of HySecurity. Their contact information was displayed, or where you can contact if you need more information. So please visit our website, that's psasecurity.com, to be sure that you're leveraging all that PSA Security Network has to offer. On our homepage, you can access future webinar events, this recording, educational offerings, and business solutions. This will conclude our presentation for today. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.